Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to the Bay Area Case Studies Virtual College Fair. We've got an exciting session today. Before we begin, we'll cover a couple housekeeping items. Note if you have questions, you can do so using the Q&A button to ask your question at any time. Also note that your camera and microphone are off. Pardon me 1 second. Sorry about that. Your camera and microphone are off. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them in the chat at your earliest convenience. Also note that we have additional sessions available. So if you have interest in those, you can go to the StriveScan website and sign up at your earliest convenience. Note as well that a recording will be available and posted on the StriveScan website at BACS as well. Also note that we're ready to get started with our first presenter from the Dartmouth College. Also, before we do that, let's cover the other institutions: Fordham University, Kenyon College, Furman University, Occidental College, and Texas Christian University. We're ready for our first presenter from Dartmouth College.
Great, thanks so much, Dave. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen share going. All right. Good evening, everyone from here in Hanover, New Hampshire. My name is Allie Duke. I'm an assistant director here at the college, and I'm really excited to be here tonight and spend some time talking to you about Dartmouth. Just as a reminder, this is sort of the tip of the iceberg, so we will cover a lot, but there is still a lot more to learn sort of beyond this session. I do want to begin by rooting us sort of in our location where we are, because it is absolutely essential to who we are as an institution. You'll see here we're sort of triangulated between Montreal, Boston, and New York City, sort of a quick drive from, or a few hours drive away from any of those cities. Just because we are sort of surrounded by cities, though, does not mean that we ourselves are located in a city. So it's really sort of a quintessential college town. And we are bringing folks together from all over the globe here in Hanover. So our students represent 50 different states, 92 different countries, and they speak over 50 different languages. So it really is a global campus. It's also a pretty stunningly beautiful place to spend 4 years, I think. It's somewhere where we have a lot of green space. There's plenty of room to go skiing, snowboarding, hiking, biking, swimming at the Connecticut River 5 minutes down the road. It's somewhere where you can literally and figuratively breathe a bit more deeply. On any given day, you may walk across campus. The Appalachian Trail literally runs straight through campus. So you can joke you take the AT to class every day. We actually are one of only 2 schools in the US that have a college-owned ski mountain. So you can hit the slopes on a Tuesday afternoon after you wrap up courses for the day. You might head sort of 5 minutes north to Ockham Pond and take soil sediment samples with your geology class. We also have an organic farm. We have a land grant up in Maine. We're actually the largest landowner in the state of New Hampshire. Even though we are a bit more rural, certainly doesn't mean that your opportunities here at Dartmouth will be limited at all. We have the Hood Museum of Art right here on campus, which houses 60,000 items in their collection, one of the largest in New England. We're also about 5 minutes from Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, which is the largest tertiary hospital north of Boston and the only level 1 trauma center in New Hampshire. So you are going to be busy. Within the classroom, we're really rooted in this idea of the liberal arts, teaching you how to think, not what to think, building up critical thinking skills that are going to allow you to be successful no matter what field you go into down the road. We want you to be collaborative. We want you to be a problem solver. We want you to be creative. And we do that in a student body of about 4,400 undergraduate students, making us the smallest school in the Ivy League. That allows us to have a 7-to-1 student to faculty ratio, something we're really proud of. So if you want to participate in research or help a professor write a book or a publication, that's certainly accessible to you. We have pretty unparalleled access to our professors here on campus. We also have a really flexible way of presenting our curriculum. So we're on the quarter system. It's called the D plan. And basically, it's up to you what terms you decide to take on or off campus. So you may choose to do an internship in the winter term. Well, there's a lot less competition when you're not looking in the summer. It also makes it really accessible to study abroad. So we pretty consistently lead the Ivy League for percentage of students that are studying away. About 55% of students will do at least one program, 30% two, and actually actually 10% 3 or more times. And they join the 90% of students who are doing an internship and about 60% who will do paid research. Our study abroad programs travel literally all over the world. There are 50 or 60 on any given year, which is a lot for a school of our size. And you're eligible to go on those programs as early as your freshman summer. You also don't have to go on a program within your major or minor. So we really make it accessible for you to be taking what you're learning in the classroom here in Hanover and putting it on a global level. Community is also incredibly important to us here. We have over 350 different clubs and organizations, so there are a lot of different ways for you to sort of seek home. If you walk away with only one piece of information after my presentation today, it is that Dartmouth is what it is because of the people. We have an incredible community. You'll see here, this is the homecoming bonfire, which is not your average backyard bonfire. You can feel the heat from this bonfire about 4 blocks away. It's several stories tall, and our freshman year engineering students actually have the opportunity to help design and construct it. And the bonfire happens every fall. It brings back some of our 80,000 active alumni who are incredibly passionate about Dartmouth. We're pretty consistently #1 on the Forbes Grateful Grads Index, and we're one of the top producers of Fortune 500 CEOs. And those alumni really go out of their way to continue to help Dartmouth students down the road. We also do our very best to ensure that Dartmouth is affordable for everyone. So these statistics are from 2 classes ago. The average grant for the class of 2025, whom we just admitted a few weeks ago, is actually up over $60,000. About 60% of the class of 2023 was offered some form of financial aid. And we have a full tuition guarantee, meaning that if you come from a family with typical assets, things like a house or a car, and an income under $100,000 a year, you're guaranteed a full tuition scholarship at Dartmouth with no loans in your aid package. We gave away around $112 million between 2019 and 2020 at Dartmouth. And that financial aid also travels with you and may in fact grow when you study abroad, depending on where you are going. So I know that's a lot of information in a really short period of time. If you want to learn more, I'm going to drop some additional links in the chat, but you can also take a quick snapshot of any of these QR codes here to interact with us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, our blog, or the Search is a podcast that our dean runs. So thank you all so much for your time and attention.
Thank you. We appreciate the information. We're on to our next presenter from Fordham University.
Hi, everyone. So I am Ike Uche from Fordham University, and I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. So good evening again, and again, I'm Ike Uche. I just wanted to give you a little information about Fordham University. So this slideshow is usually done in about 30 minutes, but I will try to make it to 6. So Fordham University was actually founded in 1841 as the first Catholic college in the Northeast. Today, you can see we have just about just under 17,000 students, about 8,000 or so are undergraduate students. So we're quite diverse at this point as well. You can see 34% identifying as students of color. So Fordham actually has 2 campuses. There is one in the Bronx in New York City, and then there is another in Lincoln Center. So those are the 2 campuses that undergraduate students will consider. And then there are also 3 campuses that, 3 colleges that compose Fordham's undergraduate programs. So those are Fordham College at Lincoln Center, Fordham College at Rose Hill, and then the Gabelli School of Business, which has programs at both campuses. So one of the things that we try to do is make the city an extension of a student's classroom. New York is a really important part of who we are. So our students certainly take full advantage of the city, whether that's discounted tickets to Broadway shows or exploring the city by going to a street fair or checking out some great restaurants. But in terms of other activities, our students are also involved. So internships are a really important part of that. So our students are definitely taking full advantage of their year-long residence in New York to take part in year-long internships. So whether you're involved in a business major or an arts major or the sciences, New York will really have an internship that could be eligible, that you may be eligible for. And last year, about 80% of our graduates had participated in at least one internship by the time that they graduated. So that's definitely an important part of most of our students' experiences. So as I mentioned, the two campuses at Fordham, I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well, because when you apply to Fordham, you apply to a college. And by applying to that college, that will determine your major options, and it will also determine which campus that you live on. So the Rose Hill campus is a traditional green campus located near the Bronx Zoo, the New York Botanical Garden. There's also a great street called Arthur Avenue, which is sort of the Little Italy neighborhood of the Bronx. And that is part of the Rose Hill campus, or near the Rose Hill campus. And then the Lincoln Center campus is very different. It is a modern urban campus. So if a student wants to be in the heart of the city, they're going to love the Lincoln Center campus. Typically, students are picking their campus just based on their own personal preferences, but there could be some majors that are only offered at one. We have about 70 majors at Fordham. Most of them are offered at both campuses, but just double check to make sure. And if you're undecided, which many of our students are, you're just going to be selecting your campus based on your own personal preferences. So one of the things about Fordham is that we want our students to challenge themselves. Undergraduate research opportunities abound. Study abroad is really popular. So we actually have 3 campuses abroad. There is one in London, one in Spain, and one in South Africa. So you can definitely take full advantage of that. And then we have lots of clubs and organizations as well. We're also Division I athletics with 22 club sports and intramurals, and those are at our Rose Hill campus. So we are a Catholic university, but we do welcome students of all faiths and no faith. So it is a very welcoming environment for students regardless of their own particular religious views. That being said, specifically, we are a Jesuit university, and the Jesuits are an order of priests, and they're known for a number of different things. One of them is this idea of cura personalis, which means caring for the individual or for the whole person. That's reflected in really small classes. So our average class size is 14:1. The student to faculty ratio is 14:1, but the average class size is 23. And then this idea of magis, which really means more. So our students are constantly challenging themselves. And then the third piece is Omnis Pro Elis, which basically means people for others. So lots of service opportunities. We have global outreach. We have a program called Urban Plunge as well. So that's really what Fordham is about. I know we don't have a lot of time, so please feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A, and I will also be sure to leave my email and ways to connect with us after I finish the session. So thanks so much.
Thanks so much. We're on to our next institution, Kenyon College.
Great. Thanks, Dave. I will share my screen. Excellent. So I'm Chris Renaud, and I'm really excited to have this time with you. I'm one of the members of the admission office at Kenyon. And as you can see from the slide, Kenyon, we're actually approaching our bicentennial. We're a liberal arts and sciences college of 1,700 students. We're located in Gambier, which is in the Rolling Hills region of Central Ohio. Kenyon's an undergraduate only college, pardon me. We have about 12% of our students from our home state of Ohio. 20% come from the metro areas of New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago alone. So we tend to have students from all 50 states and nearly 50 different countries as well. You can kind of see indicated in this image, Gambier is a quaint tree-lined area. Our campus sits atop a hill. We have a meandering river at the base of the hill, and surrounding us are a 500-acre nature preserve, a 14-mile rail-to-trails path, and the college's farm on one side. And campus is anchored by Middle Path, which you can see running through the middle of this slide. So I hope you can tell it's an idyllic setting. Our campus has been rated one of the most beautiful in the country by a range of publications, from Architectural Digest to Forbes. On the left-hand side, top and bottom, you can see other images of Middle Path. The upper right-hand side is an image from our Hogwarts-esque dining hall, Pierce Dining Hall, with its lovely stained glass adorned walls. In the bottom of the right-hand picture, it's Wigan Street Coffee. That's one of the shops in our main street. Shops, restaurants, our shared post office. Our students share the post office with community members, faculty, staff. So at Kenyon, we have a place in a culture where you can slow down, think about important matters, be inspired by architectural and natural beauty, and forge close relationships with your classmates and faculty and citizens of the town. This next slide, I'll talk about academics, so just some basics. 15 students in the average class, a 10-to-1 student to professor ratio. All classes are highly interactive, so seminar style. Kenyon in 1841 was the first college in the US to implement the faculty advisor model. So we've long known the importance of teaching and mentoring and the development of each individual student. Our programs are rigorous. Our students generally possess a love of learning, which is wonderful. They're intellectually ambitious, achievement-minded, but they're collaborative, not at all competitive. Just quickly, you can see our 50+ areas of study. For students applying to Kenyon, it's important to know you're applying to the entire college, not to a specific program. All admitted students have all of these programs available to them. And we ask that students declare their major within the first few weeks of the junior year, September of junior year. So there's a fair amount of time to make a choice about a major. We don't have a core curriculum. We do ask that students have some breadth of study, however. And the way we do that is students take at least 2 courses in the same discipline in 4 academic divisions: humanities and the fine arts. We separate them at Kenyon, social sciences and natural sciences. And our students still complete a senior exercise, research paper, a thesis, sometimes a project like studio art. Majors have an exhibit in our gallery. So a comprehensive culminating experience. If you know about Kenyon, you may know about the college's legacy as a writer's college, the reputation of the Kenyon Review professional literary journal. Our curriculum is writing intensive across all disciplines, from the humanities to the natural sciences. We really give our students the time and feedback from faculty to enhance their writing skills, to learn how to express themselves with high degrees of clarity and precision, and for different audiences. Our programs, as I said, rigorous in academics. It's also designed so that students can lead fulfilling lives outside of the classroom. So as you can see here, there are approximately 245 events on campus in a given year. They run the gamut from exhibits in our gallery to poetry readings to film showings. We have approximately 150 clubs on campus. There's something for everyone, from political clubs to Division III athletics, to service organizations, to theater groups. We have at least 30 productions on campus in a given year. Music is popular. We have 13 a cappella groups at a college of 1,700 students. So the arts are widely supported. In this slide, what I want to share is that at Kenyon, we tend to attract students who join us in our rural setting in Gambier because they're making the deliberate choice to connect with others and to be in a place where they can really shape the extracurricular life of the college. Our students love that at Kenyon, you're not pigeonholed, you're supported for your identity based on your academics and your activities. It's the kind of place where you can expect to have friends and faculty members at your commitments, your activities, your athletic events, and in turn, you'll be there to support your friends on campus and their endeavors. Just quickly in this slide, you may know our most well-known alumni tend to be noted authors, stars of the stage and screen, political and social justice figures, but Kenyon grads go on to careers running the gamut of fields: education, law, finance, medicine, STEM fields. We're a top producer of Goldwater scholars, Fulbright fellowship recipients, NCAA postgraduate scholarship winners, and students who go on to earn a doctorate in a STEM field if they studied STEM at Kenyon. So there's really no single outcome to which Kenyon graduates are confined. Just quickly, some information about admission and financial aid. We're a Common App and Coalition App college. We have 3 tracks for students to apply. We're a binding early decision school, ED1 and ED2, as well as regular. We had a temporary test optional policy this year for seniors. For the next admission cycle, fall 2022, we're still reviewing, doing research, and we'll announce a decision in the coming weeks. For financial aid, I think it's important to note that we meet 100% of demonstrated need. And we do have a limited merit scholarship program. About 20 to 25% of students receive a merit scholarship. And we actually do have some scholarships in creative realms, creative writing, music, and studio art, as well as programs Keep in STEM for underserved, underrepresented students. Those programs require an extra application process. I can answer any questions about that. The vast majority of merit scholarships, however, are granted to students without their taking any extra step. It happens automatically. That is all. Thank you, and please let me know if I can help. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. We're on to our next institution, Furman University.
All right.
Sorry, there we go. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much. So my name is Cody Shelvin. I'm one of the admissions counselors at Furman. Furman is a small-ish liberal arts institution in Greenville, South Carolina. We describe ourselves as bigger side of small. It's going to be the type of experience where you'll walk to class and see people you know and people whose faces you recognize, maybe friends of friends, and then people in your year, that you've never seen before. Meeting people all the way to graduation. You can see where Greenville is, kind of top left corner of South Carolina, about halfway between Charlotte and Atlanta, about 3 hours from the coast, an hour south of the Appalachian Mountains. Greenville is kind of like Furman. We describe it the same way, kind of bigger side of smaller cities. And it is a great place, growing quickly, growing well. I would encourage you to look at, you just Google image search Greenville, South Carolina, Main Street, Falls Park, whatever it is. There's a lot going on there. And then some facts and figures for you on the screen here. 100% residential, I think, is a big defining piece of the experience. Our students live on campus for 4 years. It's res halls for 2 years, and then on-campus apartments for 2 years. And there's some good YouTube videos that outline those experiences. Over 60 areas of study on campus. Some of the largest would be public health, health sciences, politics and international affairs, business. We have a standout sustainability sciences program, psychology, education are also great programs. Average class size is going to be 15. Your first year courses are probably going to sit mid-20s, but they'll drop off after that. Participation is a part of every grade that you get when students visit campus, and I ask them, how was it? What came across? After the tour, they typically lead with, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful here, because it is a gorgeous, just get out of your way, it's a pretty campus. But beyond that, they also oftentimes they'll come back and say, it sounds like that faculty-student relationship is really strong and it came across. So it's coming up on tour when our students are sharing their experiences with you. I think it's a pretty central piece of the experience for students at Furman. These bottom 4 diamonds describe a program we call the Furman Advantage. The first diamond sums it up really well. It's a promise that your 4 years are going to be unique to you and your goals, your priorities. The other 3 diamonds are kind of how we do that. So with these high impact practice or experiences, research, internships, and study away, your mentors and advisors that are going to help you along the way, the institutes and centers on campus to help apply what you're learning in the classroom to, experiences in the community or furthering, what your career is going to look like after Furman. With the research, internship, and study away, Furman students are guaranteed access to those experiences. So we are definitely going to be able to connect you with faculty on research or great internship experience or study away experience at some point. With the Furman Advantage, Furman's received about $50 million to help fund these student experiences specifically. We had over 200 fully funded research fellows on campus last summer in the middle of COVID. And almost 200 fully funded internship fellows. With the study away at Furman, it doesn't cost you any more money. You're paying exactly what you would have otherwise paid to have been on campus for that semester. And all of your aid and scholarship applies to that experience. Furman also has a Maymester of sorts. We call it May Experience or May X. If you want to know the lingo, get in the know. So a great option for students to supplement what they're doing in fall and spring semester. The team of advisors and mentors, I think, is great. Students are going to have that academic advisor to make sure you're signing up for classes by the right date and taking the right courses to graduate on time and be competitive for grad school admission or for whatever field it is you're looking to go into. Now with the Furman Advantage too, with this program, we are connecting students individually to alums in the field that they're going into, as well as mentors in our area, in the Greenville area. All those connections are facilitated by either your on-campus advisor or Furman's mentorship coordinator, staff professional whose role entirely is made up of making and facilitating these experiences or these connections. So they're all made individually and facilitated by people on campus. So you're going to know how and when to be able to have these conversations and go about that. And then the leading institutes, that would be, Furman has 4 outward-facing institutes: the SHI Institute for Sustainable Communities, the Institute for the Advancement of Community Health, which partners with Prisma Health. Furman is Prisma Health's strategic pre-professional partner. And so with that, students are connected to clinical observation and internship experiences in Prisma Health System, Greenville's, or South Carolina's largest health system. So we have the SHI Sustainable Communities, we've got Institute for Community Health, we've got the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, helping students launch entrepreneurial ventures. And then lastly, the Riley Institute for Public Policy, Leadership, and Education. So a lot of stuff going on. And all of these efforts are not siloed off. They're all in conjunction and communication with one another to really, like that first diamond says, personalize your 4 years with us. So with that, I will turn it back over, but would love to see some questions in the chat. Thank y'all.
Thank you. We're on to our next institution, Occidental College.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here on a school night. My name is Julius. I'm an admission counselor here at Oxy. I am also a graduate of the class of 2016. Oh, all the way at the end. So let's rewind. Perfect. All right. Oxy in 6 minutes. Let's go. Let me see if this hide meeting controls. Perfect. Is the video blocking? Is the video box blocking it off for people?
No, you look good.
Okay, perfect. What is Oxy? At the end of the day, Oxy is a small liberal arts college in Northeast Los Angeles. We are a school of about 2,000 students, all at the undergraduate level, coming from every and anywhere. About a third of our students come from California. Most are coming from out of state. And about 15% are coming from outside of the US. So really a global community coming right here to the heart of Los Angeles. And there are not too many liberal arts colleges located right in a major metropolitan area. I know that was certainly the case during my college search process. And I think Oxy does a really awesome job of kind of bouncing this traditional liberal arts or residential college campus of about 125 acres, 13 different residence halls. Students typically live on campus for all 4 years, but the moment you step off campus, right, you're not in a college town by any means. You are in LA. You see people at local coffee shops writing their screenplays with their dogs in their purses. Very much the traditional Los Angeles experience. Beyond LA, what does it mean to be a liberal arts college? That is not a question that I think we'll be able to answer in 6 minutes, but perhaps the 30-second version of it is that we really believe in learning for the sake of learning. Certainly we want you all to be successful in whatever professional endeavors you take, but we don't think that comes just from taking classes in one particular area or field. We think it comes from gaining a broad understanding of how the world works, really. So if you see kind of the full list of majors and programs, some might look familiar, your biology, history, politics. Some are going to be pretty specific to Oxy, like critical theory and social justice, or cognitive science, or diplomacy and world affairs. The good news is that you do not have to declare your major until the end of your sophomore year. Those first 2 years are really meant to take classes, try them on, see what feels right. Maybe it's what you thought it would be. Maybe it's something totally different. Maybe you take a philosophy class that totally blows your mind, and you become a philosophy major. Regardless, though, only about a third of the courses you'll take at Oxy are going to be for your major. Another third are going to be elective-based, meaning take whatever classes inspire you. And the last third of classes are going to be part of our core program. I know you've heard about the core program from other schools tonight. Ours is not particularly different, other than there's no particular classes we're requiring, right? We set parameters. We'll ask you to take classes that compare different geographic perspectives. We'll ask you to take a year of a foreign language. We'll ask you to take 3 math science courses. How you choose to select those courses is up to you, right? Math and science might mean formal logic, which is actually a philosophy course. It might mean geology. It might mean calculus. I will let you be the judge of what suits your wants. Maybe it's public health. Los Angeles isn't just kind of where we are, it's really how we base our learning around. And I think it's important to remember, in the same way that you have a choice in where you go to school and where you want to learn, so do professors. Professors come to teach at Oxy because they want to be utilizing Los Angeles throughout their classes, really, and how they design their syllabus. So in the bottom left picture, you'll see a group of folks standing on a street corner. That's actually a class in our Urban and Environmental Policy Department studying gentrification in our own neighborhood of Highland Park. To the other side, you see courses on our research vessel in marine biology going into the Pacific Ocean, as well as a bio class that actually goes to Costa Rica at the end of the school year. They look at ecology of the rainforest, and what better place to study that than in the rainforest. So about 2/3 of Oxy students will study abroad during their 4 years here. It really is the expectation rather than the exception. But studying abroad certainly doesn't need to necessarily, well, I suppose for abroad, we need to be outside of the US, but we think of learning outside of the classroom as being something that happens in Los Angeles, something that happens in Southern California, and if you wish, beyond the border. Like I said at the beginning, students live on campus. Typically for all 4 years, it is required for the first 3, but about 50% of our seniors will choose to stay on campus that 4th year. First years live exclusively in first year halls that are really fun. I think it's sort of each hall develops their own culture, and it's really, something that will stick with you for all 4 years. Even as a senior, you'll be asking people what first year hall they lived in. Beyond your first year, though, you get to choose what kind of halls you want to live in. Some are themed, either based around identity or common interests, like our Food Justice House. Some are more apartment style. Maybe you and your friend just want to live in your own space that has its own kitchen and bathroom area. So you really kind of get to pick what you want that learning environment or living environment to look like beyond your first year. Clubs, sports, all of that very much central to the Oxy experience. This is a school that ticks because students make it tick. And I think that's going to be true at a lot of small colleges you look at. We're about 2,000 students, so we're flexible enough to really have our interests and activities reflect what students want to see. Some of our longer held clubs is dance production, which you see in the bottom corner. It's a student organized club that's been going on for about 78 years, I believe. And it is really a dance showcase for every and anyone that wants to participate. Very much our culture of kind of leaning in. Certainly the most fun weekend on campus. If you're not performing, you'll be in the audience. We also have varsity sports, though. About 25% of our students play a varsity sport. But more broadly, about 50% of Oxy students are involved in some form of athletics, whether that's varsity, club, or intramural sports, right? You are in Southern California. This is going to be a campus that gets you moving. This is certainly not a school for indoor students. I had to come out of my shell as a Midwesterner and learn to embrace the sun all year long, which I was happy to do. When you look at what students do after their Oxy education, though, I think it's really exciting to see that there's no one industry or field that kind of dominates, right? Students do everything from science and engineering, working at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is a part of NASA in Pasadena, to going into education, to going into law and politics or the arts. I think that's so much of the essence of the liberal arts, that you really are prepared for a range of fields, not just, academically, but really in terms of what you choose to do after you graduate. So not for every student, but for the right student, I think it ends up being a particularly compelling experience. And that is the joy of the college search process. So with that, I yield my time, but happy to continue the conversation offline.
Julius, thank you so much. We're on to our final institution, Texas Christian University.
Hi, y'all. My name is Amanda Johnston, and I'm with TCU, or Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm really excited to tell you all today a little bit more about TCU and why students, particularly students from California, choose TCU as their four-year academic option. I think it really comes down to one thing. TCU's size. We are a medium-sized institution, so that means we can provide students with that large college campus feel, but that smaller academic environment at a medium-sized institution. So with a little over 9,400 undergraduates, TCU really can feel like a large campus in some ways. We have big NCAA Division I athletics. We're in the Big 12 Athletic Conference, and it's Texas, so football is a very big part of that TCU experience. We also have national name recognition and notoriety that provides students with opportunities that comes with a TCU education. TCU students have access to undergraduate research. In fact, 40% of our students will do some kind of undergraduate research specifically unique to kind of their interests. And then we also have opportunities for students to do creative exploration. And internships are a big part of the TCU experience. In fact, 4 out of 5 TCU students will do an internship during their time at TCU. So that provides students with ample opportunity to get real world hands-on experience. And then of course, there's a lot of school spirit and campus pride, and we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. So the DFW area is actually one of the largest metropolitan areas in the country, and Fort Worth itself is the 13th largest city. But when it comes to that academic environment, once you divide students up among our 115 majors and areas of study, our average class size is about 27 students and a 13-to-1 student faculty ratio. So what that really means is that students have a chance to get to know their professors. Students have the ability to build mentorships with faculty on campus. Students have the ability to really connect with one another. TCU is a collaborative environment. Nothing at TCU is impacted. And once a student gets to TCU's campus, we don't have a lot of competitive majors where students are fighting against one another to get an opportunity. They're working together to achieve their goals. So that provides really great experiences for students in this classroom. There's a business professor who told me this, but I think it's really indicative of all of our programs. We don't hire professors who don't want to work with undergraduate students, and we don't hire professors who don't want to engage with our undergraduate students. And this isn't just in the academic environment. When you look at career services on campus, each of our degree granting colleges actually is a career advisor who just sits and works with students, helping them figure out what they want to do once they're done with their degree. Maybe it's graduate school. We have advisors to support students through that process. And we actually have students getting into medical school at twice the national average because of those resources. Or 85% of our students who graduate, they're employed or within graduate school in 3 months of graduation. And then TCU just has a community that really supports students, right? You're going to learn just as much outside of the classroom as you're going to learn inside of the classroom. That's part of the fun of college. We do have students live on campus for the first 2 years at TCU. We do have some of the best dorms in the country, so that's not a problem for any TCU students. But in a normal academic year, we have over 800 events happening in the duration of the school year. Anything from an academic event, we've had Bill Knight of Science Guy come and talk to our students, to a fun social event. We've had Sean and Catherine Lowe from The Bachelor come and talk to our community and do a presentation. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had goat yoga on campus. So you can socially distance from your friends, but you don't have to physically distance from the goats. So no worries there. And of course, game day is a big part of that TCU experience. We've had college game day on our campus several years in a row. And as the smallest school in the Big 12 Athletic Conference, TCU is actually the only school in our conference where students can go to any home athletic event for free. When it comes to admissions, TCU does a holistic admissions process. We have a do no harm policy in our admissions process. And because of that, we've actually extended our test optional policy until students who are applying for the fall of 2023. And when TCU says we're test optional, we mean we truly are test optional. We want to get to know you as the applicant. So we look at a lot of various things in our review process. And when you apply for admissions, you're also applying for our merit-based scholarship. So there's no separate application for our full range of merit scholarships. Just like our admissions process, we're going to be test optional for our merit scholarships for students applying through the fall of 2023. So there's a lots of great ways that students can kind of be considered for merit scholarships. And then also I always encourage students to make sure they're applying for need-based financial aid. Overall, these are the reasons why students consider TCU, especially students applying from California. California is our largest populations of students coming from outside of the state of Texas, and about half of our students do come from outside of the state of Texas. I wish we were in person so I could talk with you all, but one of the things I like to do at the end of my presentation is show you how we say hello in Fort Worth, Texas. So if you could follow along with me at home, just give me a peace sign, kind of like you're fighting on, but we fight on a little harder on game day at TCU. So make that peace sign real angry, and that's how you say go frogs. So go frogs, y'all.
Thank you. We appreciate the information. All of our panelists, great job so far. And the time we have left, we'll go through a quick question and answer session where we ask each of our panelists to weigh in on the proposed topic. So the first topic that we'll propose is, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? We'll start at the top with Dartmouth College, please.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dave. I think this is such an important question, and I'll try and keep my answer brief here. Above all, I think be authentic, be yourself. If you are intellectual, be intellectual. If you're funny, be funny. If you're not funny, this is not the time to try. We love learning about you and your stories and what matters to you at the end of the day. So that's my advice.
Thank you. Fordham.
Hi, yeah, I mean, I think that's great advice. I would say as well, I know in the session that I attended last, there were a lot of students who were concerned that they wouldn't stand out in the college search process, that maybe their stories weren't compelling enough. So I would just give you the advice that when you're looking at writing your essay, you can really write about any topic, and it's going to stand out if you do a good job with it, and you talk about give your own spin on your essay. We'll get a sense of who you are, and that's really what matters. So I wouldn't worry about not having a compelling story that you think the committee wants to hear.
Thank you. Kenyon College.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. I think what I would offer as advice is for students to think about the search process as another part of your education. I know there's an outcome that you have, but try to flip it on its head and think of it as a way to gain value. Use it as a way to learn more about different college options, different parts of the country, and really dive into self-reflection, self-assessment. Use it as a chance to think about who you are as a student, where you're heading, the kind of person you'd like to be after your college experience, and why you actually would like to go to college. Thanks.
Thank you. Furman.
My advice is to follow Chris's advice. I think that's great. I think this process can also feel a little daunting. I tell students sometimes to identify a time when you're going to talk about this with your family. So it doesn't feel like questions are flying at you. You're expected to know things. Sit them down and say, we're going to talk about this on Sundays at dinner, or Wednesdays after the commitment that we do, or whatever it is, and keep those lines of communication open.
Up next, Occidental College.
Yeah, I would say, and this might be sort of everything but the college search process, but make time to enjoy being a senior. This is a really exciting time of year. You've accomplished so much, and you've finally got a really awesome group of friends, and you are leading clubs and organizations in your high school. And I think it can sometimes be, we're so eager to kind of move on from that, and we're looking at colleges and we're imagining the next 4 years that we forget to really celebrate all that we've accomplished. And you're going to be a first year, and that's going to be hard again. So definitely give yourself room to really appreciate being a senior, and kind of let that moment, really live for the entirety of the year. Don't just try and cram all your senior moments into that 1 month in between decisions and graduation, because you'll miss out on a lot of really meaningful moments.
Thank you. Last but not least, Texas Christian.
These are all really great tips, and I think they're fantastic. I hope the one thing that you all walked away with tonight is that every institution is a little different and our processes might look a little bit different, but the admission counselors, we are there to be advocates and to support you through this process. And so don't hesitate to reach out to your admission counselor. As simple as this may sound, sending an email and asking a question about how do we review applicants? Do we look at the weighted versus the unweighted GPA? What is a typical student on your campus look like? Those kind of questions, they will help you as you go through this process, and we are there to be resources. I promise we're really friendly, and we're in these roles because we want to help and we want to support students. So I promise we're not as scary as we may look sometimes.
All righty. Well, thank you so much. That's going to conclude today's fair. We want to thank everyone for joining. We'd ask our prospective students to go ahead and fill out the quick 4-question survey on the StriveScan website, and also sign up for additional sessions if you've got interest. So please also note that the recording of this will be posted on the website at strivescan.com/BACS. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you later.